Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam to all the Vaishnavas listening to me. Today we'll continue from the third question of the chapter Abode of Sri Purushottama. Before that, let us offer our prayers at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and all our previous acharyas. Om Agyantimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tadkanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusutaye Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Vancha Kalpatarubheshya Kripa Sindhubhyev Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Let us start with the third question, which is: what are the characteristics of Sri Jagannath, Sri Baldeva and Sri Subhadra? Answer is: Jagannath, the emblem of God, has no other form than eyes and hands, which show that God sees, knows and creates. Balarama is the source of Jiva Shakti. Subhadra is Maya Shakti and Sudarshan is the energy of will. Fourth question is: why did Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur take shelter in Bhajan Kutir at Purushottama? Answer is: today we are sitting inside a Bhajan Kutira at Sri Purushottama Kshetra. Why are we all living in this faraway place, leaving the great city of Calcutta, which is full of people and learned communities? A long time ago, when we published this magazine, Sajjana Tosani, I had a desire in my heart. I thought that the more this pure Vaishnav religion is spread through this magazine, the more the people of the world would benefit. We began to work with free mind. Many educated Goswamis and Babajis of Bengal came and pledged to help us. Some learned impersonalists joined us, and being overwhelmed by the beauty of devotional service, they began to help spread pure Vaishnavism. After hearing such nice instructions regarding Vaishnavism, materialists also became attracted. Professional singers and prayers floated in the waves of pure Hari Kirtan and considered themselves fully satisfied. Gradually, many assemblies for chanting the holy name of Hari were established in villages and cities. In this way, the glories of pure Vaishnavism filled the hearts of inhabitants of Bengal and overwhelmed everyone by their beauty and sweetness. On seeing such an unexpected response from the people of Bengal, we began to preach pure Vaishnavism with more and more enthusiasm. Then, by the influence of time, a sudden change took place. The glow-worm-like superstitions that were hidden in the scorching heat of the sun of Vaishnavism suddenly took various forms and came from four directions. The demoniac religious principles in the form of Mayavada, which was immersed within the deep water of forgetfulness for some time, again surfaced in the form of discourses taking shelter of the boat of the Smarta teachers. At the same time, some Indian and foreign yogis appeared as supporters of Smartas and created a revolution in the world of religion. Moreover, some useless people who were fond of sense gratification took shelter of unauthorized religious practices and began to create disturbance in society, identifying themselves as Sahijiyas and Bolas. Displaying the limit of their sinful propensity, a few worm-like people who take pleasure in the stool of fame began to advertise themselves as the incarnation of the Lord in the society of fools. Some other people even accepted names befitting a Vaishnava, acted as acharyas, and began to spread ideas that were opposed to Vaishnavism as if they were the religious principles of Vaishnavas. After seeing all such unimaginable activities, our hearts began to shatter. When we try to reach and search, when we try to search for the cause of such a change, we suddenly remember the following verse written by Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Pada. The age of Kali is formidable, and the senses of the human beings are very powerful. Now the path of devotional service is full of millions of thorns. Where shall I go? What shall I do? I am completely helpless without the mercy of Gaurachandra. While crying and speaking in this way, I went to the birthplace of Lord at Sri Mayapura. Still, my mind did not become peaceful. Thereafter, I left my place in search of the Lord, and after arriving at Puri, I began to roll on the gold-like sand. At that time, the Lord informed me in my heart, O well-wisher of the devotees, may you obtain peace. The nature that the living entities have developed according to their respective karma from birth to birth in this world influences them to engage in fruitive activities. Until desires opposed to devotional service are destroyed from the heart, no amount of good instruction can bring any auspiciousness. Such instructions will simply come out of the ear holes and will not enter into the heart. No amount of preaching to them or discussing devotional service will produce a good result because of their bad karma. Your discourses and discussions will therefore not yield any result. My order to you is that you should live at the place where I kept my dear Haridasa and where I loudly chanted the holy names of the Lord. You should constantly sing the glories of the holy name for the benefit of the fallen souls. As a result of the piety that people will achieve by hearing from you and the faith they will develop, they will attain unduplicitous faith in pure devotional service in a future lifetime. Following these instructions of our beloved Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya, we built our Bhajana Kutira in the tract of land surrounded by huge waves. With this, we complete our 13th chapter and move on to 14th chapter, which is called Mahaprasada. The first question is Mahaprasada material? Answer is Mahaprasada, Krishna, the names of Krishna, and the pure Vaishnavas. These four items present in the material world are spiritual. Second question is why has Mahaprasad incarnated in this world? Answer is Krishna is very merciful. To help us conquer our tongue, he has given us his remnants. Please honor his nectarian remnants of food and sing the qualities of Radha Krishna and in ecstasy chant the names of Chaitanya and Nityananda. Third question is what is the result of honoring prasada? Answer is by accepting foodstuffs that have been offered to the Lord, all one's material desires are conquered. Fourth question is what does one obtain by the mercy of Mahaprasada? Answer is any living entity who is favored by Mahaprasada will certainly obtain pure devotional service to Krishna. Fifth question is what is the consequence of thinking prasada is mundane? Answer is when we are residing at Sri Purushottam Kshetra, we heard many learned smartas make false arguments make false arguments regarding Mahaprasada. Some said that Mahaprasada should be honored within the temple premises. Others said that Mahaprasada should be honored within 10 miles of the temple. Yet others said that Mahaprasada touched by Shudras should not be accepted. And still others said that one should not accept Mahaprasada inside the temple or outside the temple. We have also seen the kind of superior punishment these learned classes of people received. Sixth question is, what is the need of offering foodstuffs to the Lord? What is the purpose of honoring Mahaprasada? Answer is, honoring Mahaprasada is not only symbolic of the superior life of the Vaishnavas, but it is part of worship which ordinary theists cannot fully understand. Ordinary men are very much inclined to preserve the superiority of reason over the intuitive feelings of man towards the God of love. We must now proceed to show this with healthy arguments that our intuitive feelings want us to offer everything we eat to the Lord of our heart. We must first examine the arguments of the antagonists. The rationalist states that God is infinite and without wants, and consequently it is foolish to offer eatables to such a being. It is sacrilege to offer created things to the Creator and thereby degrade the divinity of the God, treating him as a human being. These are reasonable arguments indeed, and one who has heard them will certainly be inclined to declare to others, "Down with Mahaprasada." These conclusions, which may appear reasonable, are dry and destructive. They tend to separate us from all connection in worshipping God. When you say that the infinite wants nothing, you forbid all contemplation and prayer. The infinitive does not want you grateful expressions or flattery. Utter a word to the unconditioned Lord, and you are sure to degrade him into an unconditioned being. Hymns, prayers, and sermons are all over. Shut your temple door and church gates because our rationalists had advised you to do so. Believe a creative principle and you have done your duty. Oh, what a shame! What a dreadful fall! Theists, beware of these degrading people. Now the rationalists appear in another form and allows prayers, sermons, psalms, and church going, saying that these things are wanted for the improvement of the soul, but God does not want them at all. We are glad that the rationalists have come towards us and will make further approaches in the course of time. Yes, the progressive rationalist has admitted a very broad principle in theology. Whatever we do towards God is for our own benefit and not for the benefit of God, who is not in want of anything. However, the rationalist is a rationalist still and will continue to be so as long as he seeks self-interest. We know for certain that religion promises to give eternal happiness to man, and it is impossible to conceive any religion which is not based on self-interest. This view, however, smells of utilitarianism and can never be theism. We must love God for God's sake, even if our action appears unreasonable. Our love must be within any goal concerning ourselves. This love must be a natural emotion to the deity, as our well-wisher, without interference or experience. Salvation, dear as it is, should not be the object of this love. What then about other forms of happiness? Love of God is its own reward. Salvation, as a concomitant consequence, must be a servant of Lord. But we must not look on it as the main goal. If a rationalist is prepared to believe this, he becomes a theist of Vaishnava classes. But the mere assuming of a name is no consequence. Though fully aware that the Lord is completely unconditioned, our holy and sweet principle of love takes a different view to that of the rationalist. Reason says one thing, but love prescribes the opposite. Reasons tell me that God has no sorrow, but love sees God in tears for his sons who are misled to evil. Reason tells me that the strict laws of God reward and punish me in a cold manner, but love reveals that God slackens his law to the repentant soul or the repentant soul. Reasons tell me that with all his improvement, man will never touch God, but love preaches that one on the conversation of the soul into a state of spiritual womanhood, God, unconditioned as he is, accepts an eternal marriage with the liberated soul. Reason tells me that God is an infinite space and time, but love describes that the all beautiful Lord is sitting before us like a respective relative and enjoying the pleasures of society. As a father in his amusements with his young children, God is spreading all sorts of delicious food all over the earth and expecting his sons to gather them for their own benefit. But the loving children, out of their holy and unmixed love, gather all the scattered blessings and, with their strong feeling of love, regardless of the reason, offer all the blessings to the Father whom they love more than their lives. The Father, again, in reply to their kind feelings, gives back the offering to the children and kindly tells them, "O my children, these blessings are intended for you. Out of your natural love, you bring them to me for my intention. You bring them for my enjoyment. But naturally, I have no wants for you to supply. I have, however, accepted the part of your offering which is for me, your unmixed love and unbiased affections, for which I am exceedingly anxious. Take back these sweet things and enjoy them." This process of unbiased love, which dry reason can never approach, sanctifies the food we take and brings us harmless enjoyment every day of our natural life. This is a system of sincere worship, which theists of a higher class alone can act upon. We cannot express the joy we often felt when we took the Mahaprasada in the temple. The holiness we attach to it is its sweetness, and often we pray that all men may enjoy it. With this, we complete the 14th chapter and move on to 15th chapter called Sri Krishna. First question is, why is pure love most applicable to Sri Krishna? Answer is, among all the features of the absolute truth that are found in this world, the form of Krishna is most suitable for pure love. The conception of Allah established in the Islamic scripture cannot be the object of pure love. Even the dearmost prophet could not meet him because even though the worshipable is achievable through friendship, he remains far away from his worshippers due to their conception of his opulence. The conception of God in Christianity is a faraway object. What then can be said about Brahman? Even Lord Narayana does not become an object of living entities' spontaneous love. Rather, Lord Krishna eternally resides in the spiritual abode of Vraja as the only object of pure love. Second question is there any object other than Krishna for pure love? Answer is, even though words like Krishna, Vrindavan, Gopas, Gopis, Yamuna and Kadamba are not found elsewhere due to linguistic differences, still the name, form, abode, paraphernalia and pastimes are revealed by the words of moods of exalted devotees. There is no object for pure love other than Krishna. Third question is, what is the highest manifestation of Vishnu? Answer is, Sri Krishna alone is the highest manifestation of Vishnu. When a living entity transcends the three material modes and becomes situated in pure goodness, he achieves the service of Krishna. Fourth question is, are Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan separate truths? Answer is, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan are one object. According to one's qualification, one sees a particular feature of the Supreme Lord and accepts him as the highest. Fifth question is, how is Krishna different from Brahman and Paramatma? Answer is, Sri Krishna is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the source of Brahman and Paramatma. Sixth question is, what is the difference between Brahman and Bhagwan and the result of their worship? Answer is, Brahman and the Bhagwan, the personality of Godhead, are not separate truths. Brahman refers to the indirect qualities or unmanifest energies of the Lord. Bhagwan refers to the possessor of manifest, inconceivable, wonderful, variegated energies. That is why contradictory qualities are perfectly present in him. A living entity in Brahman realization, possessing dry knowledge, only attains a token of happiness of liberation. But one in Bhagwan realization can relish unlimited happiness in the form of mellows of pure devotional service. Seventh question is, what is the difference between Brahman and the form of Supreme Lord? Answer is, the lotus feet of Krishna are the only source of happiness and can be compared to a piece of sugar candy. Brahman gives that happiness, but it is not the source of happiness. Such differences between Bhagwan and Brahman are made possible by Bhagwan's energy of inconceivable oneness and difference. Eighth question is there any difference between Lord Krishna's body and soul? Answer is, the body of Sri Krishna is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. There is no difference between his body and his soul, unlike ordinary embodied beings. On the platform of Advaya Jnana or non-dual knowledge, the body is the self and the self is the body. Although the form of Krishna is situated in one place, it is all pervading. Question 9 is, why is it unreasonable to say that the Supreme Brahman is without variegatedness? Answer is, whatever exists has a distinct characteristic by which it can be differentiated from other objects. If there is no distinction, an object may be said to have no existence. If the Supreme Brahman is without variety, how can it be differentiated from the material creation? If we cannot say that the Supreme Brahman is different from the creation, then the Creator and the creation become one. The hope, faith, fear, reasoning, and all kinds of knowledge become non-existent. 10th question is, why can there not be any competitor to the Supreme Lord? Answer is, the Supreme Lord is one without a second. No one is equal to or superior to him. He controls everything. There is nothing that can arouse enviousness in him. He awards the results of one's activities according to the firm determination in one's heart to attain devotion to him. 11th question is, why is Brahman called the bodily effulgence of Supreme Lord? Answer is, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete whole. He is the noun, not the adjective. Both Brahman and Paramatma are his qualities. Before creation, there was only the Supreme Lord and no one else, not even Brahman. When the material world was created, a concept of Supreme Lord came into being. The whole universe is Brahman. There are two concepts regarding Brahman. The first is that everything is Brahman, and the second is that Brahman is beyond the created or materially conditioned world. Both these concepts are applicable to the material world. Brahman, the bodily effulgence of Supreme Lord, pervades the universe. It is most correct to refer to Brahman as the Supreme Lord's bodily effulgence. 12th question is, what is Brahman? Is it a manifestation of Krishna, who is fully Sachidanand? Answer is, the glories of Sri Krishna are reflected everywhere in the form of his effulgence, which is known as Brahman. 13th question is, in Bhagavad Gita, what evidence is there that Sri Krishna is the shelter of Brahman? Answer is, Sri Krishna, transcendental and full of variegatedness, is the source of Brahman, the goal of impersonalists, eternity, inexhaustibility, deathlessness, pure eternal love, and the unalloyed happiness of Vrajarasa are the characteristics of Krishna. 14th question is, what is the difference between Brahman and the Supreme Brahman? Answer is, Brahman, that is full of spiritual energies, is called the Supreme Brahman. Brahman, without variegatedness and energy, is a partial manifestation of the Supreme Brahman. 15th question, what are the two manifestations of Paramatma? Answer is, Paramatma has two manifestations, collective and localized. In his collective manifestation, he is the universal form. In his localized manifestation, he is the constant companion of the living entities, the indwelling supersoul and the supreme person who measures the height of the thumb. 16th question is, what is the difference between Brahman realization, Paramatma realization and Bhagwan realization? Answer is, Brahman and Paramatma realizations have designations. Brahman realization is the opposite of material designations, and Paramatma realization is in the agreement with material designations. Only when one sees through the spiritual eyes and without mundane vision can one see the spiritual form of the Supreme Lord. 17th question is, what are the characteristics of Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan? Answer is, the feature of the Lord that is devoid of energy and variegatedness is called Brahman, and the same Brahman that is full of energies and variegatedness is called Bhagavan. Therefore, the feature of Bhagavan is the ultimate realization of the Supreme Lord. Brahman is only his bodily effulgence, which is devoid of variegatedness. Paramatma is his planary portion, which enters into the universes. 18th question is, when does the conception of impersonal Brahman come about? Answer is, Krishna, who is full of unlimited opulence, is one without a second. In the cultivation of knowledge, as soon as one separates power and energy from Krishna, one sees the non-dual truth as impersonal Brahman. 19th question is, what are the characteristics of Krishna's pastimes? Answer is, Krishna alone is the supreme enjoyer and the living entities are enjoyed by him in the eternal abode of Vrindavana. These pastimes are blissful and unlimited. They are eternal and uninterrupted. 20th question is, what are the considerations of Krishna's pastimes? Answer is, although the quality of being self-satisfied is eternally present in Krishna, the quality of enjoying pastimes is also eternally present in him. For the Supreme Lord to possess contradictory characteristics in perfect harmony is natural. In one aspect, Krishna has the quality of self-satisfaction, and in another aspect, he manifests his opposite quality of enjoying pastimes with others. 21st question is what are the limits of Ashraya, worshipper, and Vishaya, the object of worship? Answer is the limit of Ashraya Tattva is Sri Radhika, the personification of attachment, and the limit of Vishaya Tattva is Sri Krishna, the personification of conjugal pastimes. 22nd question is what is the truth of Krishna's manifest and unmanifest pastimes? Answer is the pastimes of Krishna are of two types, manifest and unmanifest. The Vrindavana pastimes, which are visible to the eyes of ordinary people, are called manifest pastimes, and those pastimes that are not seen through material eyes are called Krishna's unmanifest pastimes. The unmanifest pastimes are always manifest in Goloka, and by the will of Krishna, they become visible to the material eyes. 23rd question is what are these terms in truth? Mathura, Vasudeva, Devaki, and Kamsa. Answer is in the pious land of Bharatvarsha is Mathura, the manifestation of absolute knowledge, where King Vasudeva, the personification of pure goodness, took birth. Vasudeva appeared in a family of devotees and married Devaki, the so-called sister of Kamsa, the personification of atheism. Fearing the Lord's advent from this couple, the wretched Kamsa or Kansa of the Bhoj dynasty arrested them and put them in jail of remembrance. 24th question is what is the truth of the 6 sons of Devaki and the 7th son Baladeva? What is the mystery of Vasudeva bringing the son of Devaki to Vraja out of fear of Kamsa? Answer is the couple Vasudeva and Devaki gradually begot 6 sons such as Yasha and Kirti, but Kamsa, who was against the Lord, killed them in their childhood. Sri Baldeva was decorated with the service of Lord and was transcendental reservoir of all living entities. He was their 7th son. He appeared in the womb of Devaki, who represents a heart filled with knowledge, but without fear of his maternal uncle Kamsa. He was taken to his home in Vraja. 25th question is, are the pastimes of Krishna imagined from human behavior? Answer is, the pure activities of Krishna have been perceived through the samadhi of swan-like persons like Vyasadeva. Krishna's activities are not exactly historical like those of people under the clutches of Maya, because Krishna's activities are not limited to any time or place, nor are his activities comparable with the activities of ordinary people. 26th question is, why are all the pastimes of Krishna eternal? Answer is, Krishna performs different pastimes in the hearts of different devotees depending on their qualification at a particular time. Krishna takes birth in one devotee's heart. He steals the gopis' clothes in another's, and he performs the rasa dance in another's. He kills Putana in one other's devotee's heart. He kills Kamsa in another's. He has an affair with Kubja in yet another's, and he enacts his disappearance in the heart of a devotee who is leaving his body. The planets, like the living entities, are innumerable. As one pastime take place on one planet, another pastime take place on another planet. In this way, each pastime continually take place. Therefore, all the Lord's pastimes are eternal. There is no break because the Lord's energies are always active. 27th question is, what is the purport behind Krishna stealing the garments of gopis? Answer is, those who have an intense desire to serve Krishna have no secrets amongst themselves or with others. To teach this principle to the devotees, Krishna stole the clothes of the gopis. 28th question is, are the Rasalila or Rasalila pastimes not obscene? Answer is, in the transcendental Ras Leela pastimes, Sri Krishna is the only enjoyer of and all others are enjoyed. The conclusion is that the sun-like personality of the spiritual world, Lord Krishna, is the only male and the living entities are all female. All the relationships of the spiritual world are based on the pure love. One therefore finds the enjoyer is male and the enjoyed are female. The males and females of the material world are perverted reflections of the enjoyer and enjoyed in the spiritual world of the spiritual world. If one searches through every dictionary, one will not find the words to properly describe the spiritual pastimes of the supremely conscious Lord and his associates. Hence, the description of man and woman of the material world are used here as an appropriate indication. There is no necessity or suggestion of obscene thoughts concerning Krishna. 29th question is, who are Ugrasena, Kamsa or Kansa, the wives of Kamsa, and Jarasandha? Answer is, after the atheist Kamsa was killed, his father Ugrasen, the personification of freedom, was installed on the throne by Krishna. The two wives of Kamsa, Asti and Prapti, described the killing of their husband to Jarasandha, the personification of fruitive activities. 30th question is, are the pastimes of Krishna concocted by human beings? Answer is, Krishna's pastimes are neither human concoction nor the blind faith of cheated people. Only persons conversant with spiritual science can understand this truth. Arguments and moralities cannot touch the glories of Krishna pastimes. Argument, morality, knowledge, mystic yoga, religiosity and irreligiosity lay to one side, and the great illumination of the science of Vraja manifestations in the hearts of pure devotees and thus enlightens them. 31st question is, what are the pastimes of Krishna metaphysical or fantasy tales? Answer is, we consider Radha Krishna's pastimes as transcendental, not metaphysical. The endeavors to establish the philosophy of dry impersonalism through fantasy tales are metaphysical, because the impersonal philosophy accepts material variegatedness and then rejects it. The impersonal philosophy is described in this way, but the description of Vraja pastimes are different. The transcendental spiritual variegatedness, which is the ideal for material variegatedness, is very much present in Vraja. The transcendental descriptions are realized through transcendental variegatedness. 32nd question is, why are the pastimes of Krishna not metaphysical? Answer is, the pastimes of Krishna are not metaphysical. When all truths are seen in relation to Brahman, metaphysical activities begin. The philosophy of impersonalism is a metaphysical subject matter. Wherever the metaphysical mood is prominent, the transcendental pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavana are vanquished. Krishna's pastimes are full of variegatedness. The metaphysical mood and the mood of variegatedness are totally opposite to each other. In the metaphysical realm, Brahman, whose energies are dormant, is the goal of life. In the realm of variegatedness, only the eternal pastimes of Krishna are manifest. Although these two features are contradictory, in the absolute truth, they do not contradict each other. While the non-dual Brahman realization remains present on the past of Janana, the supreme absolute truth, who is full of variegatedness, continues to manifest transcendental pastimes in his eternal abode of Vrindavana. Such simultaneous considerations of metaphysical and transcendental truths cannot take place in the human thought. Only one who is favored by the absolute truth can see such contradictory characteristics present in the Lord in perfect harmony. This simultaneous oneness and difference has been made possible due to the inconceivable potency of the Lord. 33rd question is, are the pastimes of Krishna mundane? The descriptions of Lord's transcendental pastimes are factual and eternal. They are never imaginary. Mundane activities are totally material and are under the control of time and place, and are therefore temporary. Transcendental pastimes may appear like mundane activities, but they have no tinge of materialism. They are full of spiritual. They are fully spiritual. Just because transcendental pastimes can be seen with material eyes, no part of them should be considered a product of matter. The pastimes of Krishna are beyond the reach of material perception and material senses. They are the object for spiritual senses of the spirit souls. 34th question is, how are Krishna's pastimes transcendental? What are the ingredients of such pastimes? The material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Here, everything is polluted by Maya. In the spiritual world, Maya and the three modes of material nature do not exist. There, everything is impeccable and made of pure goodness, including time, place, and all other objects. The pastimes of Krishna are transcendental to material nature, and therefore they are fully spiritual. Krishna's pastimes are nourished by faultless time, place, sky, water, and so on. Within spiritual time, which is unlike material time, the pastimes of Krishna are eightfold. They take place at dawn, morning, pre-noon, noon, afternoon, evening, night, and late at night. In this way, Krishna's pastimes are divided into 8 according to the different times of the day and night, and thus they are the nourishing, the eternal, uninterrupted rasa. With that, today we wrap up today's session. My sincere obeisances at the lotus feet of Srila Gurudev and the divine couple Sri Sri Radha Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.